Imagine you are standing beside some tram tracks. In the distance, you spot a runaway trolley hurtling down the tracks towards 5 workers who cannot hear it coming. Even if they do spot it, they won't be able to move out of the way in time. As this disaster looms, you glance down and see a lever connected to the tracks. You realize that if you pull the lever, the tram will be diverted down a second set of tracks away from the 5 unsuspecting workers. However, down this side track is one lone worker, just as oblivious as his colleagues. So, would you pull the lever, leading to 1 death but saving 5? This is the crux of the classic thought experiment known as the trolley dilemma, developed by philosopher Philippe R. Foot in 1967 and adapted by Judith Jarvis Thompson in 1985. The trolley dilemma allows us to think through the consequences of an action and consider whether its moral value is determined solely by its outcome. The trolley dilemma has since proven itself to be a remarkably flexible tool for probing our moral intuitions, and has been adapted to apply to various other scenarios, such as war, torture, drones, abortion and euthanasia. Now consider the second variation of this dilemma. Imagine you are standing on a footbridge above the tram tracks. You can see the runaway trolley hurtling towards the 5 unsuspecting workers, but there's no lever to divert it. However, there is a large man standing next to you on the footbridge. You're confident that his bulk would stop the tram in its tracks. So, would you push the man onto the tracks, sacrificing him in order to stop the tram and thereby saving 5 others? The outcome of this scenario is identical to the one with the lever diverting the trolley onto another track. 1 person dies, 5 people live. The interesting thing is that, while most people would throw the lever, very few would approve of pushing the fat man off the footbridge. Most people would only be willing to throw the lever, but not push the fat man. Does that mean our moral intuitions are not always reliable, logical or consistent? Foot argued that there's a distinction between killing and letting die. The former is active while the latter is passive. In the first trolley dilemma, the person who pulls the lever is saving the life of the 5 workers and letting the 1 person die. After all, pulling the lever does not inflict direct harm on the person on the side track. But in the footbridge scenario, pushing the fat man over the side is an intentional act of killing. This is sometimes described as the principle of double effect, which states that it's permissible to indirectly cause harm, as a side or double effect, if the action promotes an even greater good. However, it's not permissible to directly cause harm, even in the pursuit of a greater good. If we consider that everyone has equal rights, then we would be doing something wrong in sacrificing 1 even if our intention was to save 5. Research done by neuroscientists has investigated which parts of the brain were activated when people considered the first 2 variations of the trolley dilemma. They noted that the first version activates our logical, rational mind, and thus if we decided to pull the lever it was because we intended to save a larger number of lives. However, when we consider pushing the bystander, our emotional reasoning becomes involved and we therefore feel differently about killing 1 in order to save 5. Are our emotions in this instance leading us to the correct action? Should we avoid sacrificing 1, even if it is to save 5? The trolley dilemma and its variations demonstrate that most people approve of some actions that cause harm, yet other actions with the same outcome are not considered permissible. Not everyone answers the dilemmas in the same way, and even when people agree, they may vary in their justification of the action they defend. Recent cohorts, often referred to as millennials, are significantly more likely to support utilitarian sacrifice than their predecessors, especially baby boomers, born before 1970. A divide which may contribute to patent disagreement between younger and older adults in real-world debates about ethics and policy. A major study analyzing the responses of 70,000 participants in 42 countries to the trolley problem shows just how far things have shifted. Across all countries, the average endorsement rate for the footbridge sacrifice was 51%. It was higher in most Western countries, 61% in the US, 56% in Ireland. In contrast, most Asian countries were below average, with just 32% of Chinese people finding the footbridge sacrifice morally acceptable. But still, it's not easy to explain if, and why, the footbridge option is morally unacceptable. Something has been lost in recent years, a sense of honor perhaps, or a religious attachment to fate. Something also has been gained: unemotional, technology-driven logic. Whether you find this concerning may depend on your historical perspective, given so many atrocities of recent decades have been conducted in a spirit of the ends justifying the means.